8th March is globally observed as International Women's Day, and as Bhutan marks the day, BBS will bring you a series of programs on women themed celebrating Bhutanese women. And in today's episode, we have a special interview with Bhutan's first women minister, Dorji Choden. Lyonpo, thank you very much for being part of this interview. So to begin with, tell us about your childhood. How was your childhood?
Thank you, Sonam. If I have to talk about my childhood, I have to go down the memory lane of almost 50 plus years. But some of the childhood memories, when I think about it, I think there are some very clear memories, vivid memories of childhood. My childhood was not very easy childhood, and not even happy either. Not happy because I was from very young, almost about 7 years old, I was not with my parents. I was sent to live with my maternal auntie and their family, uncle, and for a good reason, because they wanted me to have good education, so I was away from my parents. And also when I was only about 11 years old, my father passed away. And my father was a school teacher, and my mother was, of course, an ordinary farmer. And about my family background, I mean, I come from a very humble parents and also a very remote village and a remote Geok under Tashigang district. So the Geok that I come from is Kangpara, and still I would not say it's very remote now, but it was one of the remotest Geok in Tashigang, Dzongkhag. So it was quite a struggle for myself and for my family as well when my father died at very when we were, myself and all of us, my siblings, we were quite at a young age, and my mother had to single-handedly bring up all of us. And for me, I was not with my parents. I was, as I said, I was away and in school. So life of my childhood was quite a journey, quite a memory. And when I think about it, and now as I'm working in the government, dealing with so many development issues, we often talk about children not doing well. For example, especially in urban towns like Thimphu and Phuentsholing, where we look at our school children, how they're doing well, and we often talk about children not doing well, and then we try to categorize who are these children. And it happens to be dependent children. And that reminds me of my childhood too. Of course, for a good reason, but for my early childhood, I was a dependent student. And it's nothing like being with your parents than with another family. So my childhood has a long story, and I'm sure many of my others will also have similar.
As a little girl, did you ever imagine that one day you'll be one of the ministers in the country?
Then, after being a dependent student, dependent to my maternal relatives, then I was admitted to Sheraptse public school. That time it was Sheraptse public school, now it is college there. Well, that was it, and what I'm today, I feel Sheraptse under Father Mackie and his very, very dedicated team of teachers. I want to say that I owe a lot to them. It's the school that has brought me this far. In terms of education, if you work hard, you are appreciated, and you are also, in addition to your academic classes, we also were given a lot of value education, and what you have now is all because of how you are being managed and how you are being nurtured in your high school. And Sheraptse has a lot that has done to building my character, to making my dreams. In fact, to even giving me that platform to dream. So now when hindsight, when you look at it, how much attention has been given to education in Bhutan. And I'm talking about 1970s. Even that time, the school was given so much of focus by our government, and the very visionary path that our kings have taken on education. And what I'm today, I feel, is really the legacy of how much has been, what kind of path has been set by our very visionary kings.
In 1970s, how was the education system? I mean, maybe your personal experience in the school, and how supportive were your family, especially mother, about your education?
Now, Sherapji Public School was a full boarding school, so we only go home during winter vacation. Otherwise, we are in the school, and it is how school has brought us up. In terms of support from my family now, as I said, my father passed away when we were very young, and I only had mother. And my mother is of course no more. And when I look back, my mother had been quite a strong character. She managed to bring up. We are 7 brothers and sisters, and all of us were quite small. So my mother had to bring all of us single-handedly, and she did it. And in terms of education, I mean, she's not educated, she's just an ordinary farmer. So support in terms, I mean, I cannot say there was any support. But from my relative side, I can definitely say, during those days, of course, education was something that government was really almost imposing to our population, that education is the answer to our progress. So that was a time when many of my generation colleagues would drop off from before attaining even high school, and they would find a job. And that time we used to find a job. And my other relatives thought that mother is having a rough time, so they feel that I should take up job. And it's not encouraging at all. They would say, even studying up to class 10 is considered to be taking so long. And they would say, are you going to study and be in education your whole life, even before completing your class 10? So that's the kind of preconceived notion that they had. That's the kind of attitude that they had. But I don't blame them. I think it's the different phase that we were going. But as I said, the school, Sherapji school, and the dedicated teachers under Father Mackie, they put you ambition in your mind. And all my other colleagues, we had ambition when we studied. And I used to do well in maths and science. And of course, these days our children have access to all kind of information. We didn't have then. We didn't have internet. We also didn't have even regular papers. So what we used to depend was maybe monthly magazines, some annual documents and things like that. But even then, as a student and as a little girl studying in school, what used to intrigue me was really the astronauts and people going into moon and aeronautical engineering. That used to really fascinate me. And during my school days, I also I used to do well in science. So I also got an opportunity to visit India. And we were taken around in the big cities in India. So during that time, I still remember very clearly, we were taken to Bangalore, where they had this aircraft production manufacturing company. So there, as a little girl, and I get very fascinated with science and airspace. So I was all out asking questions on how can women become, an engineer, and can women become pilot. And I used to dream of being a pilot. But when I look at now, of course I couldn't be a pilot, but I'm very happy that we have now women pilot. We have many, many women engineers now in Bhutan. So these were some of my dreams that I used to dream when I was in school, although very limited accessibility to information.
Is there any funny memories or any exciting memories that you haven't forgotten all your life during those visits?
Well, the funny memories were we were going for the first time to India, never gone out of the boundary, beyond Bhutan, and we were also flying in the planes. Never flew before, so and then we were kept in really, I mean, even by standards, even today, we were kept in at least star hotels, 3-star. I don't know what star it was, but it was a very amazing place that were put up. So the funny memories are that we were not able to use the facilities that were inside there. So you make all kinds of mistakes, and you make all kind of mistakes on the table, eating table, then even to the toilets. So we were going right from a girl or a student who is coming from a very remote place who haven't seen much, and then suddenly you are exposed to a metropolitan city with really high-end facilities and accommodation. So it was maybe a culture shock as well. We were not able to, but as a young girl, you are so excited, to explore.
When you decided that you will become an engineer later in your life, how supportive were your friends and family?
Again, as I said, I used to do well in maths and science. So when in my class 11 and 12, I took both biomaths, and that system still goes on. So I took both biomaths. So I used to do well also in biology, and I still remember we had very, very dedicated teachers in Sharapse, and I still remember we used to have Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and Mrs. Jones used to teach us biology, and she's a very strict lady, and then she would scold, and then looking at capacity of each individual, and she would really encourage, and she always used to tell me that you must become a doctor, you must take up MBBS. And these are very encouraging now when I look back, how teachers have really groomed you, and how they have really tried to make you to compete and excel in what you're doing. So, but in terms of engineering, now we don't have any career counseling as such. And from your parents, as I said, I only had single mother, and none of my other siblings are educated. So basically, I really had no personal advice or counseling from family members, and we were really an ordinary farming family. So after I finished my class 12, opportunities were there, and government had provided opportunities. Now again, if I talk about this gender equality and how government has given equal opportunity to all common people, it is very evident, and I'm a standing example. How I came from a very remote place, from a very humble family who didn't know about education, who didn't have any money influence or any kind of influence. So when you are able to take that path and then be able to take the opportunity what was provided by you, I really say that our policies under our kings are superb, and even now it is really exemplary. So after I completed my class 12, then my marks, I qualified to take either MBBS or engineering. So now if you look at the profession, these are totally different area of field. Engineering is something very different, and MBBS is really dealing with human beings, so it's really different. But I just took it as science as my good subject, and then it was just a matter of which offer came to me first. So I was actually, I signed up for both MBBS as well as for engineering. And MBBS, if I had gone, I would have been one of the first also to go to Bangladesh. That time they had opened slots in Bangladesh. So engineering offer came to me first, and then I opted for it because I had my relatives and others pressurizing me to take up job. are you going to study the whole life? Are you not going to help your family? So you had that kind of pressure, and then time was a big issue for me. So engineering came, and then engineering also takes much shorter than MBBS. So immediately I took up this engineering, and that's how I took up engineering. And of course, my friends and other family members, they were not very supportive. They are saying engineering is it's a a domain where it's a man's domain. They were saying, engineering we don't. I think engineering is a subject which is much more taken up by men than women. But I was determined that I will be able to do it, engineering. So I took up engineering. So I did it in India. It was called Birla Institute of Technology, and it was in Ranchi. Now, of course, they have separated the state and they have made it Jharkhand, but it was Ranchi. And in Bhutan, the funny thing was, Ranchi was known for its hospital, that psychiatric hospital. Yes. So when I told my friends I'm going to Ranchi, they said, I hope you're not mad or gone crazy. So that was how I ended up taking engineering.
Were you a bookworm, or did you have any other hobbies as well as a young girl?
As a young girl, yes, I used to read. I used to read scientific fiction, but I think hobbies are also changing. So now, as I started working and then have a family, and then at work, when you do a lot of paperwork now, I want to get away from the paperwork and do something that is fun. So I love cooking and also gardening. And then I also love stitching and tailoring. So it takes away my time from a mental exercise to something physical, which I enjoy. And it gives me much more, it makes me much more relaxed. So because in the office sometimes you are so cramped up, your mind and mentality is so much cramped up with paperwork, looking at reading documents, trying to synthesize them, trying to review them. So I want to get away from that kind of thing. So I like doing something with your hand. You can see it, you can cook, you can garden, you can see. So tailoring was something that I picked up when I was very young also, because in Sharapcha school we used to have these kind of pastime work that we were encouraged to do: tailoring, weaving, stitching, knitting. So I used to do a bit of tailoring, and maybe it also flows from family. My father used to also do tailoring. I remember we also have old tailoring machine in our homes, and my elder brother also does tailoring. So I must have picked up from there. So I also love to, I also love to do a little bit of tailoring, making our own Bhutanese costume, as well as some kind of small designs and things like that.
That's interesting. And Lyonpo, in 2008, you joined politics. So what made you decide to join the politics?
I thought to myself that joining politics for Bhutan especially is again serving people and the nation from a different platform. But of course, at the back of my mind, you see how politics are in and around the world. You don't have to go far also, just in the neighboring countries, you see that. And I also held a very strong perception of politics, that politics is not something that you want to go in, because you don't see good examples of politics. So it is seen as almost every time fighting each other, defaming each other, seeing no good in each other, mudslinging, and then also corruption. I didn't have, frankly, in my deep mind, I did not have that good image and good perception of politics. But at the same time, I thought we can do different. Bhutan can do different. We are a country, so far, our kings have looked after our country well, has set a good path, has set a good vision for our country. So I thought that we can make a different politics in Bhutan. And when 2008, when the first election was to happen, and then political parties were to be formed, so many of the people who joined political parties were basically our friends, who worked in the civil service, some maybe in the private sector, but basically they were people who worked with development works. So even I felt that it is serving from a different platform, and me coming from a very remote place, it still remains quite remote. Maybe I can pay back and I can contribute to my remote village by representing them into the highest decision-making forum. So these were some of the thoughts that I had. But of course, it was not an easy decision. Definitely not. We had a lot of peer pressures. We had a lot of agreements, disagreements, how to go about. So there were so many things that were there, and it was definitely not not an easy decision, because I had to leave my very good position, good in the sense in our civil service standard. I reached almost at the high executive level, so it was a good position for me, good post for me. So leaving a very secured place, I was jumping into something which was uncertain, very, very uncertain. I don't know whether I'll make it in the election or I will not make it in the election. If not, what? So it was a very difficult decision, because my livelihood, I depended totally on my job. So if it were for others where they had this side income from other businesses or other properties, it's a different matter. For me, I totally depended on my work and my salary. So it was really a difficult decision. But in the end, sometimes life is not all about trying to keep your own stand and be rigid. You have to make a lot of compromises sometimes. You have to have a lot of sacrifices.
So when you joined politics in 2008, how supportive were your family, like your husband and then children?
Initially, not so much. Initially, not so much, because again, as I said, politics. What we know of politics and what the examples has been shown by many countries around the world is not at all, something that you want to be part of that. So it wasn't, but slowly, I think, as pressures mounted, and they were so little that you can make options. So my family members also came into terms, but with a lot of questions.
And in 2013 primary elections, you led a political party, Druk Nyamrup Tshogpa. Share with us about your experience.
After the 2008 election, so after we lost. So as I said, I had to make my livelihood. So fortunately, I was able to get a work in UNDP Bhutan here. So I worked in UNDP, and I was working with development projects, which I enjoy. So I enjoyed working there. So I've been working there, and I almost forgot about politics. And I was even wondering whether I may not even ever come back also. So I totally forgot, and I said, nothing doing, I'm not going to think about politics now. So I worked for almost 3 years plus in UNDP. So as, again, the second term election was nearing, again, now then the whole society becomes quite unsettled, and, then medias are active. And so again, this whole gossips and media coverages and, all this whispering about political parties and new formation so all this started. So as I said, I was really not sure whether I should join or I shouldn't join. So till the last moment, I did not decide. I was going to work. I said, I'm comfortable with my work. Maybe I'll continue with my work. But again, since you have already joined in the political party in the first round, and you have nothing to lose, and you are the old face representing your constituency, so there were a lot of offers for me, and then invitation for me to join political parties, but I had to make a very careful analysis of the entire situation, how I would participate in politics again. So as far as Druk Nyamrup Tshogpa is concerned now, Druk Nyamrup Tshogpa now, so many new political parties were established by then also. But Druk Nyamrup Tshogpa was slightly different. So other parties, it was an individual who formed the party, and it's that particular individual who led the party as well. But for Druk Nyamrup Tshogpa, what I saw was there were this core group of professionals who were very passionate about giving more choices to people. And they said it is really offering more choices of political parties to people. They said just 2 political parties is maybe it's too little choice. So that was their main objective, that we must give more choices to the people. And also the people who are working there are also my colleagues. I know them. So they found confidence in me, they trusted me, and they thought that I'm a bit senior and also I have much more better experience in terms of government development works, as well as the country as a whole. So they thought that they confided in me, saying that if I can be their president, at least be able to lead them. And I took it as a very collective responsibility. It's a collective responsibility, a collective leadership, so that something can come up. So I had to join Druk Nyamrup Tshogpa towards the very last, after a lot of careful thinking, should I, shouldn't I? So I joined, and I thought it's for the betterment of our nation and to take this new democracy through, so that at least we can, if not anything else, even if you cannot win, maybe you can have a forum whereby you can interact with people and be exemplary in terms of what democracy means, and not really have this gross misunderstanding of democracy and then try to copy what other countries are doing. Maybe this is an opportunity you can take. This is a forum that it provides, that you can make a difference. So thinking that if we can make a difference, this is the time. And winning and losing was not a big issue then, because we have lost and we knew how it was. And then second time also I thought winning or losing is not a big issue, but I think we have to make our people more understandable on what democracy means and how what responsibilities and what kind of duties, what kind of rights is there in democracy.
Your personal view, do you think when it comes to women leadership that our Bhutanese society is more skeptical?
To some extent, definitely. May not be so much among the educated group, but maybe half educated and maybe not so literate society, we still hold that our age-old tradition and culture where women are more inward bound, looking after the domestic affairs, family affairs, and women should be more playing your role in the inner circle of your societal boundary, and then men more on the public domain. So that stereotype and that culture, that deep culture is still there. You can feel it, you can see it also, that men are much better in the public domain, being more visible, more vocal, and then they are in the public spaces, and women more on the domestic front. So that small, although we tend to think that we have equal opportunities, there's no discrimination in our policies, the opportunities are given equal both to men and women, but yet we have this inside that stereotype, cultural thing still existing. So this may not be, I mean, I don't call it an explicit discrimination, but it's an implicit somewhere. It has just come from your from the roles and responsibility which men and women played in their traditional setting, where men go out, to plow the field or get firewood or do something physically hard, whereas women did more softer work. So I feel that it's because of that, and that structural thing has just continued, and that has developed a deep mindset where we still hold that.
And you're heading the Ministry of Work and Human Settlement for over 2 years now. What does it take as a woman to lead such a huge ministry?
From day one, my career was a career where I had to work with a lot of men. So when I started my career in the government, royal government, this ministry, the minister now it's called Ministry of Works and Human Settlement, this ministry is the same ministry where I started my career. So when I come back after many years to this back, it's almost like coming back home. And I could see some of my old colleagues who are there. And of course now the ministry has grown, ministry has expanded, and there are a lot more engineers, both girls and both young girls and young boys. There are a lot more engineers now. So now, as a person coming back to the same ministry where I know the processes, I know the systems working there, I know what the mandate of the ministry is, so that made me much more comfortable as a person heading this ministry, because I worked there, it's familiar to me. But in terms of as a woman, now I didn't really think about as a woman heading this ministry. But to me, since I have always worked in that kind of environment, and also as I said, if you're working in a much more educated lot, our society is quite open. I find our society is quite open, not really conserved and closed society. I think they readily accept women. Only thing is that women also must conduct professionally. I think it's important that women must conduct professionally. And you must be competent also to compete with your men colleagues, and you have to show the respect that you want others to do it. So I think these are the qualities. I mean, whether you are a man or a woman is required when you lead a big ministry. And I must say, as of now, I have a very good team, good directors, and I have also a secretary who's very familiar to me. So we are a good team, and we have also a lot of very young aspiring engineers, young aspiring leaders, engineers, both young men and women who are there. So I do not face any difficult problem. Although people ask me, this is such a hardcore, it looks such a manly organization and you're leading it. But as I said, I'm so used to, because I started my career like that. Even my education, I had to go doing survey of roads, along the road. So in the forest, you had to go to the survey, you had to go to the construction field. So this has been part of my job even during my service in the government. So when I come back, it is no different.
And serving as the only women minister in the country, how has this changed you as a person?
Now, because we still do not have this gender parity, we are still struggling. Now, although Bhutan, we claim, and we rightly claim, because our environment is much more conducive compared to so many of our countries in the region. We have much more conducive environment for our women to excel, for our women to compete as much as men. But at the same time, we still have this disparity through. If you look at education enrollment, primary, we have almost girls and boys almost 50%. In fact, in some even girls are leading. And even to higher and tertiary education, I was quite surprised. Even at tertiary education, when you look at these new graduates who are coming in every year, and if you look at their ratio, it's almost close to 50%. So it's, I mean, we are doing very well, even at the tertiary level. Now, where we are facing some disparity is that now at the workplace. So when you get your education and then you start working, so in the workplace now, as you rise, even in bureaucracy, rise the different rungs of positions. Now women get fewer and fewer as you go up. So this is something that is a concern, and since presently I'm also holding the portfolio of being a chairperson of Women and Children. So this is a concern that as you rise up, then there's a bigger disparity. And so that's why when there's only one minister, then everybody's eyebrow rises, only one minister, only one Zongda. So we want to make that also something normal. It's not abnormal, it's not special. So now, because now you have so few women as you rise up, and I happen to be one because I happen to be the only minister. So now people raise their eyebrow and, the only minister. So then it tends to place you into a special position, and then it also places a special responsibility as well, because then people start scrutinizing you, the only lady minister, is she performing or not? So if anything happens, then I would get more victimized, isn't it? I am in a place where there is much more microscopic examination, whereas many other male colleagues will not be even observed. But for me, people will observe. So it has given me a bigger sense of responsibility and bigger sense of duty that I must perform, and I have to be careful in whatever I do, so that I don't send a wrong message, or it doesn't give a wrong message, because being the only woman, if I fail, then maybe down the line, it's no use placing women in position. So I get that kind of concern, and also fear that no, I have to do well, I have to at least portray a good image, and I have to set good example. So this has given me an added responsibility and an added concern as well.
And women are not forthcoming to join politics, although there is level playing field for both men and women. Why do you think so?
Again, as I said, and also speaking from my own personal experience, taking myself as an example, first is really the perception of politics. As I mentioned, it's not perceived to be something that you would easily be attracted to. So I feel that is one. And secondly, politics is also seen to be much more for men, where you have to be visible, you have no privacy at all, no private space at all. It's all public visibility and highly mobilities. You have to be mobile, so these are few factors I feel. And women, whatever said and done, in terms of mobility, I think we have to accept our reality that when it comes to mobility, maybe we cannot be as mobile as men, especially if you have a small growing child with you. So that will require special support system so that you are able to be mobile. And then I think women themselves must now also feel confident, and they must also feel a sense of duty that no, politics is not just playing this dirty game, but it also is serving the nation, serving the people, serving our Tsaosumo. It's also a forum where you serve the nation, you contribute to nation building. So far, the kind of perception or kind of feeling that people have is politics means either to make money, or to hold some authority, or to make yourself popular by being so physically visible. So maybe we have this kind of misplaced idea on politics. But politics is also something to do with serving. For me, personally, if you have to define politics in the way it's perceived, I am not cut for politics. But I feel that I am for public service. I want to serve people. And political forum is one very good forum where you can make a difference. that you can represent your people, you can be the voice of the people. If there is something that the system is not working, you can be the voice of the people. So this is a forum where you can make a difference to the society. If you feel that there is something that needs to be improved, something that we need to change, so this is a forum.
Precisely, what should be done to encourage more women to join politics?
Awareness. I think we have to do a lot of awareness, and then we also have to make this supportive environment for women. Supportive environment in the sense of providing them security, privacy. So these are something that we women want. Privacy. We don't want to be 100% public. Everything public. A certain space, private space. Secure. We want secure wherever you travel. Security. Then you also need a lot of family support. And especially when on this local government election, we were doing some stakeholders meetings and interacting with some of the local women who want to participate in local government election. So one issue they raised was that their family do not support. Maybe their spouse do not support. You need the support of the spouse, because by participating in such a public forum and in politics doesn't mean your family should go wrong. Family should be intact. You should be able to participate. Your family should be able to appreciate that you are participating. So this kind of family support. So we need a lot of creation of awareness, information, so that it's not only giving information and awareness education to women themselves. I think we have to give to the family, to the society at large. So there has to be a supportive support from the family and also from your relatives, from your friends, from society at large. So that is very important. And then of course women themselves must also feel that you must take this opportunity. They themselves must feel confident to join and be able to compete equally with men.
And your personal view, how does empowering women benefit the community, society and family in general?
Very much. I think as we have a saying also, 100 men may make a camp, but it needs a woman to make a home. So women, if women is empowered, children will be looked after better, children's education will be better, children's healthcare will be better, and family as a whole will be better. At least these are my, I don't think I can say these are even my guess, but these are realities, that the number of projects that focus on women, economic empowerment that I have worked in my career life, I've seen that the moment women are made to have their own income, the moment the women make some additional income, the additional income always goes to the welfare of your children. Your first concern comes to your children, health of the children, nutrition of the children, education of the children. So, and then the family. So, definitely empowering women will make a lot of difference to our society.
And a last question, what would be your advice to all aspiring women leaders in the country?
What I want to say is now our society is changing. We have changed. Bhutan has changed so fast. We have come from a stage where gender equality, women's gender equality meant women's just physical representation, or just being there, and then putting it on, some very superficial level, a very passive participation. Because I have heard, for example, when we did this village development works, in terms of taking care of irrigation channel, or in terms of taking care of water supply. So when you go there for doing this training program, so we insisted, and it was a donor-funded project like UNICEF. So, the UN, they always go for this gender-balanced approach to whatever we do. So they insist that there must be some women in it. And apparently we used to get participation. But when you really analyze properly, decisions were all made by male group. and women are there physically to attend meeting, but they make no contribution, no decision. So we have come from that stage of very passive participation, gender balanced participation, to now a stage where we have a lot of women who are well educated, very intelligent, very smart. So it is really, and the government has made a very conducive environment. We have very gender balanced policies, equal opportunities are given. In fact, a lot of focus is placed on bringing up women. So now I want to urge all our young women and our girls who are well educated, who are smart, who are intelligent, to please don't miss those opportunities. You have to take these opportunities, you have to grab these opportunities and take part. And take part not only in development works, but in politics, because politics is governance. It's governing, and then you're making key decisions which will make difference. And it's in politics you make also laws where it will have wide-reaching impact to our society. We can make a difference. If more women come, we can make more balanced decisions. I'm not saying that we are not making it, but as we say, when you put a shoe, only the person who puts the shoe will know where it pinches. So we can make a difference, and it's not about, again, fighting war with men. It's really about recognizing each other's strength, recognizing each other's wisdom, and to make a collective decision and to have a collective benefits for society as a whole. So I want to urge, I want to say that women, it's not about incapability of the women. We have many, many capable women, and I can see that it's increasing, but the women can come forward much more.
Thank you very much for your time and sharing your insight with us.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my very, very personal experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore, and I know too much to go back and pretend, 'cause I've heard it all before, and I've been down there on the floor. No one